Hello students. Today we'll be solving an equation with distributive property. Now in this equation I know I need distributive property because I have parentheses with a number in front. This always means that I'm multiplying this quantity 3 times or whatever this number is. The first thing I will do is draw my expression. So I go to an algebra mat and I'm going to put on algebra tiles, and I need 3 groups of negative x and 2 unit tiles. So here's one group of a negative x with 2 unit tiles. Now I'm shading them in because these unit tiles are positive. I'm not shading in this one because it's negative. I need to remember to put a key on my paper. So if it's shaded in, it's positive. If it's not shaded in, it's negative. So I have one group of negative x plus 2, but I need 3 groups. So here's my second group of negative x plus 2. And here's my third group. So I have 3 groups of negative x plus 2. I also need another positive x. I need to shade that in because it's positive. And I need, this is the same, subtraction is the same as add the opposite. So I also need a negative 1. So I finished the left-hand side expression. I call this the left-hand side expression because it's on the left side of the equal sign. So it's the left side of the equal sign. Now on the right side, I have a negative x and negative 3. Always change my subtraction sign to adding the opposite. So I have negative 3 over here. So I've just completed modeling my expression, and now I'm going to write it out over here. So I have 3 groups of negative x plus 2 plus x plus negative 1 equals negative x plus negative 3. Now the next thing I want to do is collect like terms. So over here I've already got my like terms together, so I don't have to do that step on the mat. I will have to do it over here, but on the mat I don't need to. So what I'll do next is take out 0 pairs. So I see there's a 0 pair right here, and I see there's another 0 pair right there. So I've done that as much as possible. Now I'm going to draw a new mat showing those 0 pairs taken out. Because I'm still not simplified. I'm solving for x, so I need to get all my x's on one side. So I have negative 2x remaining plus 5. I'll just put these down here. These are positive, so I'm going to shade them in. And I have a negative x plus negative 3. Okay. Over here, the first thing I need to do is use the distributive property so I can start taking out 0 pairs. So I have 3 groups of negative x plus 2. I already know that means I have negative 3, but the way it works with distributive property is I multiply my 3 times that negative x, and I get negative 3 x's. Then I multiply my 3 times my 2 tiles, and that gives me 6 tiles. As you see, 6 tiles. So 6. And then I have a plus x, a plus a negative 1, equals negative x plus negative 3. My justification for that row is distributive property. And this part up here was given. Okay? Now I want to catch up to where I am on this mat. So I'm going to collect my like terms. So I have negative 3x plus that x plus this 6 plus negative 1 equals negative x plus negative 3. So all I did was collect like terms, or combine like terms. Now I'm going to simplify this. It's the same as removing 0 pairs. So I have a negative 3 and a positive 1. That gives me negative 2 x's, and 6 minus 1 is 5. Notice this amount matches this, equals negative x plus negative 3. So this is, I removed 0 pairs. Okay. Now I want to isolate my variable, and what I look for is a side that has the highest value of my x. And I see this is negative 2 and this is negative 1. So negative 1 is closer to the positive side on the number line, so it has more of the x value. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add two positive x's to both sides. I'm adding equal amounts to both sides. I'm doing that so I can move these over. So here's my positive. I'm going to get 0 pairs on this side, so there'll be only unit tiles left. And even though this is negative, since I'm adding 2 of these x tiles, this will make a 0 pair and I'll end up with a positive x tile, which is what I want. Okay? So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2x to both sides. So I'm going to add 2x here on this side of the equal sign, and I'm going to add 2x over here on the right side of the equal sign. And this is called add equal amounts. I do that to make 0 pairs. So this becomes a 0 pair, so I just have 5 left over here. And this is equal to x plus negative 3. So let me take out my 0 pairs. So there's a 1, 2, and negative 2 there. And I take out that 0 pair. And I'm remaining with x and negative 3. I need one more mat. Okay, so I have 5 here. And I have x, positive x, plus a negative 3. I want that x to be by itself since I'm solving for x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add equal amounts to both sides. I'm going to add positive 3. That will make a 3 and a negative 3. That'll make a 0 pair. I'll have my x by itself. So this is 1, 2, 3. So what I write over here is I'm adding 3 to both sides of the equation. So I'm adding 3 here, I get 8. I have an x, and I add 3 here, it makes a 0 pair, so that's it. It looks like, take out my 0 pairs right there, looks like x is equal to 8. So to do this, I added equal amounts. Now I'm finished solving the equation, but I have to ask myself, did I do it correctly? To ascertain that, to find that out, what I'm going to do is write my original equation again. And I'm going to check it. I'm going to check it with my solution. So my solution is 8. So every time I see an x, I'm going to put an 8 in. I'm going to replace the x with the 8 and see if it works. So here's that negative. I keep the negative, and now I have an x. I replace it with 8. Plus 2 plus, there's an x. I'm going to replace it with 8. Plus negative 1 equals negative x is 8 plus negative 3. And now I'm going to simplify as much as possible. So I have 3 times, and I have a negative 8 and a positive 2. I have more of the negatives. So the difference between 8 and 2 is 6, so my answer is negative 6. Plus 8 plus negative 1 equals negative 8, and negative 3 is negative 11. Okay, so 3 times 6 is 18, and it's negative. Negative 18 plus 8 plus negative 1 equals negative 11. Negative 18 plus 8, I have more of the negatives, so my answer is going to be negative 10 plus negative 1 equals negative 11. I can already see it's checking. Negative 10 and negative 1 is negative 11 equals negative 11. It checks. Since this answer is true, negative 11 is equal to negative 11. It shows me that I did this whole process correctly. This is a correct solution. 8 is a correct solution to make this equation true. So, yes, my solution is correct. It checked.